Hey, and hello there. My name is Doreen Nyiramugisha, and officially, this is the introduction of Heal with Doreen, my new YouTube channel. Now, to put this into context, I have appeared on Dialogues with Jagero. I appeared on the Lynn Ngugi Show, and you have asked for me. You have asked for content. You've asked for where's Doreen's YouTube channel, and here I am. Also, coincidentally, this happens to be the week when From Wellness Together, we are actually asking women and men to understand how to revive their creativity. And so it happens that, with the planning of when this YouTube is going to start, that while we have the launch of the book, rather the review of the book that we are reading, and the title is Revive Your Creativity, I get to launch my own YouTube channel and call it Heal with Doreen. I hope that you can be able to subscribe. I hope you can be able to follow. I hope you can be able to support. Your support has been immense. It's been beautiful. And you have called out. You've asked, Doreen, where's your content? Doreen, we want to hear more from you. And I don't want to keep it. I want to express myself to you. I have gifts and talents and knowledge that I don't want to keep to myself. It's not meant to be kept. It's meant to be disseminated. And this is one of the ways that I have chosen to come and talk to you and speak with you. Okay, so we are going to start with also what's pertinent, what's happening this week. We have Mother's Day coming up, and I love the whole celebration of mothers. I love, that we get to recognize mothers for the sacrifices, for the roles that they've played, right? But also I'm that person that is bringing the elephant in the room out, right? While we celebrate Mother's Day, there's something pertinent that we don't want to talk about that is taboo, and that is the mother wound. The relationship between daughters and mothers and the effect that it has on daughters and the freedom they're giving themselves to own their pleasure, to express their desires, to be able to put themselves out there fully unapologetically. Guess what? In the last couple of weeks, I have had ladies come to me and ask me, Doreen, I have a loving husband. I don't know why when we make love, I don't feel him. Doreen, I love sex. And it's all in my head. I understand, I can do this and this and this and this, but I don't feel. Doreen, I'm not able to orgasm from the vagina. So for me, orgasms have to be clitoral. Doreen, this and that, and I understand what it is. We have a lot of numbness. I've spoken about functional freeze, but I want to break this down, really, because what we want is to own our pleasure. We want to be able to call in our desires. But what's stopping us? There are sabotages. There's something inside, and that something is numbness. We have armored up ourselves. We are like women in combat. We are just so quick to protect ourselves from pleasure because we have been protecting ourselves from pain. If you know how to protect yourself from pleasure, rather from pain, then also that inhibits the taking in of pleasure. And so then I come here to want to talk to the women and tell them the elephant in the room is the mother wound. The pain of being a woman who has carried the pain from all the other women who have been in patriarchal cultures. Our bodies are carrying pain. We have prayed about it. We have talked about it, but the bodies keep the score. And so I find that women have numbness in their chests, in their digestive systems, and also in their vaginas. Listen, out of the programs that I run, we have a running series called Desire. Now, one of the ladies signed up for Desire, and when we started our sessions, Desire starts with what are the psychological blocks to pleasure? How do we get beyond the psychological blocks to pleasure? How do we stop stopping ourselves so that we can fully give ourselves freedom to feel and feel? So I have a lady who has an amazing husband and he's willing to do everything for her, but she says even when she uses toys, even when she masturbates, she's not able to feel what other women are talking about. So there's that. Then I have another lady who says for her when she's in her periods, she wants to give herself freedom to be able to, have sex when she's flowing. And her husband has no problem with it. He's okay. He will touch her blood. He will go down on her when she's flowing. And for her, she's always just cringing. She's uncomfortable. She's like, but that's the thing, Doreen. He's okay with it, but I'm not okay with it. And I don't know why instantly I get into cringing. And I know what's happening. Then there's this other friend of mine who I was chatting with over the weekend, and he was telling me, Doreen, women need to be able to know themselves so they can be able to call in their own pleasure. I don't want to get to a woman and she's telling me, get down on me. I am not anyone's slave. I'm not getting down on any woman. I'm not licking any pussy. And I'm like, why? He's like, because women need to understand their vaginas. I want penetrative sex, and no one is going to tell me what I don't want. The problem is women do not know how to receive their own pleasure. They do not understand their vaginas. And again, that is the issue, you know? And so the whole reason and the problem around all that is the fact that we have numbed out and we don't know. We don't understand what's making us numb out. And the reason why we've numbed out is the pain of what we call the mother wound. And I want to break that down with you. I want to tell you what's the mother wound, right? What is it about? What's the risk of not healing the mother wound? What does it take to heal the mother wound? The mother wound doesn't affect only women. It also affects men, but I want to first talk about women because women are the ones who have taken the brunt of patriarchal culture, you know? The mother wound is not only the relationship we have with our mothers. It is also about the relationship that we have from our motherland, you know, Mother Nature. The disconnection that we have experienced with Mother Nature, with our cycles, the feminine shame that we carry, you know. The mother wound is also about the beliefs, the ideas that our mothers have internalized, the pain, the oppression of being mothers in the societies they were in. Many of us, many times when we go for retreats with my ladies, we talk about the pain that our mothers have endured. And then the fact that our mothers want us to carry the same pain. They want us to be in marriages the way they were. They want us to talk about relationships the way they did. And then when we tell them that we're experiencing obstacles, that they want us to just view them like that. And we cannot. And then there's the guilt that so many daughters are carrying about, I can't leave my mother behind. You know, I can't tell this to my mother. I can't do this with my mother. So as we celebrate Mother's Day, I want us to be able to free ourselves from the pain that we carry, that our mothers carried, because we carry lots of pain that our mothers carried, that their mothers carried. And guess what? The challenge with the mother wound is not because it's there. It is because we think we can bury the past. No, we cannot. We can pray about it, like I said. But like so many writers have written, the body keeps the score. And so it's still littering in our lives. And especially in our capacity to experience pleasure, right? And so if we don't talk about it, if we don't feel this pain, because we've been running away from it, this pain wants to be felt. Shame loves secrecy, right? This pain wants to be hidden. It wants us to keep it taboo still, because I mean, there's so many daughters who are like, hey, me, I can't even start talking about, my mother caused me this, because I have a mother, I felt this, or I experienced this. I have numbness in my womb because I had a mother. Many daughters don't even want to face that truth. But for as long as we run away from it, we're going to continue sabotaging. We're only going to be talking about desire and desirability, but we're not going to be experiencing it. And I want to believe that you want to experience it. So I want to take you through what the mother wound is. What are the stereotypes that are continuing to keep the mother wound around? What is the double bind that daughters are in with their mothers? What are the subtle messages society is still putting on mothers? So that as you celebrate Mother's Day, you choose that you're going to be creative enough to simplify this problem. So the mother wound pain is one, the pain of association, you know, rather the pain of similarity. We feel like we are not good enough. There's that feeling always women have, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough as a wife. I'm not good enough as a woman. I'm not pretty enough. I don't feel. So one of the sabotages to, one of the psychological blocks to experiencing, to releasing, to surrendering is the feeling of less than, of not feeling good enough. It's still there. It's pain. And so we don't recognize it as pain. We think we'll just talk about, oh, you know, women, they have a sense of feeling unworthy. You know, they have low self-esteem. No, it's not just talking about it. It's also feeling that pain. So the other pain that women need to be able to start feeling is a pain of shame. That one is like the biggest problem that we carry with us. The feeling of shame, the underlying feeling that there's something wrong with me. There's always that feeling. Listen, you get to date an avoidantly attached partner. He's dismissive. He's breadcrumbing you. He's, he's not meeting your needs. He doesn't respond to your bids of attention. And guess what happens to most women? Instantly, they're thinking, what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. Maybe I'm too short. Maybe I'm too fat. Maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I didn't tell him I love you enough. Maybe we have that pain and it comes in quickly. It responds so quickly and becomes a cognitive distortion within us that keeps us away from the pleasure, and we need to feel it. So there's also the pain of guilt. We also carry around the pain of attenuation. Women have this thing of not wanting to be bigger than so that they can stay loved, right? We have experienced it in relationships where you earn more money or you start running something and then, you start going big and then you start feeling scared that you might be going bigger than your partner, and then that might affect your love, or the love that you get from your partner. It's called attenuation. It's the pain of not wanting to be bigger than so that we can keep the love, right? Now the guilt, we experience guilt, the pain of guilt of not wanting more than what we have. He pays school fees, he pays rent. Who am I to leave him? But guess what? I would want more sex. I would want to experience more. I would want a partner who I sit with and we talk about this and this. Doreen, me, I can't sit with, I don't want to complain that he's not a good partner. But Doreen, I have a client who's telling me she's an adorable partner. But she doesn't feel safe around him. Imagine, he's 80% amazing, but the 20% is not good at. Is a non-negotiable for her. And she would want to get out because she wants more than that. And then there's the backlash around her of, how can you not be appreciative? He's this and this and this and this, And so we carry around that pain of, should we want more than we are getting, then we should feel guilty for it, right? So that's the pain, that's the mother wound, right? And if daughters do not allow to feel it, then they are continuing some sort of loyalty to their mothers. Our mothers don't even know that they carry this pain. And we unconsciously don't even know that we put it out sexually, in the way we want to experience pleasure, in the way we want to feel freedom, right? Now, as we celebrate Mother's Day, guess what the stereotypes still are about, being mothers? What stereotypes are continuing this wound, the pain? The stereotypes are, you should be very grateful for everything your mother did for you. Huh? I remember finishing uni after going through a hard time, being able to wait for school fees all the time. And then my auntie comes to my graduation and she's like, now you need to first think about building your mother house. Yeah, she sacrificed a lot for you. And I'm thinking, I need to first breathe. It's not even been easy going through the life that she chose to live, right? So there's that. Then there's also the stereotype of, oh, my mother sacrificed a lot for me. It would be selfish of me to want more than she has. So daughters don't even want to be more than their mother's way. They feel it will be a way of betraying them. There's another stereotype of, I am loyal to my mom. I think she'll feel undervalued if I reject this and that she says. Those are the stereotypes that are continuing that pain. How many of us are going through that? Have you asked yourself, what more about the mother wound you're still carrying around? I will tell you for a fact, on my journey to healing as well, you see, also being a holistic sexologist, you must do your own healing first before you can heal other people. You have to dig deep and find the parts of your life that require some attention so that you can be able to understand how to take others, a bit further. So I remember finding out that I had money wounds. And one of the money wounds I had, when I did further therapy, I found out that I am loyal to my mother's wound in the sense that I don't want to leave her behind. How did I find out? So, we've heard of hoarding. Some women hold on shoes, others hold on clothes. And psychologically, you've been told it's something you don't want to deal with when you're hoarding. So I wanted to get to this simplistic way of living. And when I was decluttering the house, I realized I was decluttering every part of the house, but I wasn't touching the kitchen. And when I asked myself which parts of the house have I touched, I went to the kitchen and I felt uncomfortable that I didn't want to touch the kitchen. But guess what? I had a lot of stuff in the kitchen. I hold on kitchenware, used to hold on kitchenware. I used to buy kitchenware almost all the time. I would have like 20 sets of kitchenware. I would rather of cutlery. I would have, and I'm not exaggerating. For me, going to Kampala, I was always excited to just go and shop kitchenware because there's a lot of beautiful kitchenware in Kampala. Now, guess what? I would have lots of plates, more than even 20 visitors could use. My house cannot accommodate more than 15 visitors, but I had more plates than 20 visitors could use. So when I sat down with myself, I realized from what my auntie told me, now that you're done with school, you need to be able to think about your mother. I thought my mother sacrificed a lot to have us in school. She doesn't have the kind of house I would want her to live in. Mind you, she owns her own house. She doesn't pay rent. She has rentals, but not the kind of place I would want her to live, given the sacrifices that, she endured. And I did not want to ever build a house before I built for her a house. I realized I didn't want to drive because I need to first buy my mom a car. I needed my mom to first have the life before I can have the life. And that's beautiful, right? But imagine it was hindering my growth in the way that my money life was curtailed and affected. My financial literacy wasn't that good. My finances were not standing well simply because I would work so hard, make the money, but then I would spend it on small things because those small things cannot be seen as if I'm living a big life, as if I'm living a large life, right? So then I can't be judged on those ones, right? So you end up holding on small things because when you buy the big things, then you'll be seen. How many of us are still going through that? How many of us go on holiday and you can't take pictures because if you take pictures and you put them on social media, your family or your mom is going to say, hey, you could afford to go to Dubai and yet, I do not have money for medicine. How many of us are going through that? How many of us buy sofa set, a piece of furniture, and when your mother comes to the house, there's a subtle message of, you did this and yet I don't have this. But leave alone the subtle message is your own guilt of, I feel guilty for buying a new set of furniture before my mom can have maybe medication or maybe she can travel where she wants to go. We have those. They curtail us. We have the message, we have the stereotypes that if I leave my mom behind, in some way I'm being selfish. And that in itself is a stereotype that is continuing the guilt, the shame, the failure to be able to give ourselves the wings, the freedom to be able to take in our pleasure, to experience pleasure. And that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of numbing in the vagina, because guess what? Because we don't want to deal with this pain. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to come out and say, my mom makes me feel like this. We don't want to talk about that. So it's staying inside. Guess where? Shame, guilt, fear all sit in the womb for women. And they numb the womb, then they numb the vagina. And there's a process that I take clients through called vaginal de-armoring. But it's not just the vagina that we get to de-armor. We get to de-armor all our bodies, beginning with psychological blocks to pleasure, de-armoring the mind, the beliefs, the ideas that if my mother doesn't have, if my mother is still going through pain, I cannot give myself permission to feel pleasure. That, I will tell you, is the mother wound. Now, there's also the bind that the patriarchal conditioning has put daughters in. Now, if a daughter internalizes her mother's pain and she allows it and she accepts it, then she becomes loyal to it. In some way, she's going to keep herself from experiencing her full potential. She's going to keep herself from authentically being, right? But then if the daughter, while growing up, owns her potential, her power, and chooses to find her space, she in a way will feel responsible for understanding that her mother might reject her. Rejection is felt as not feeling like you're loyal to your mother. Rejection then takes you away from love. Our mothers are the foundations of our being. So just imagine the bind that daughters are in, most daughters are in, that should you stand up for yourself and find yourself, then in some way you're going to carry the guilt of sort of like leaving your mother behind, so you might face some sort of rejection from your mother. But should you internalize her pain and feel the enmeshment that comes with mother-daughter, but even the most beautiful relationships, mother-daughter relationships that we have, they all have some internalized mother wounds to some extent. You know, you will see those ones who say, me and my mom were best friends. It's enmeshment. It's being loyal. You're probably being loyal to her wound, right? So there's that double bind that this patriarchal conditioning or culture has put daughters in, that we need to be able to really work together as women to get ourselves out of without hurting somebody. And again, I'm calling us out to understand that the pain that our mothers had to go through for being the kind of mothers they had to be in the society that they were living in at the time, we cannot heal it, even if we tried. However much we sacrifice for our mothers, we can never pay them for the pain they had to go through to be the kind of mothers they had to be. It was a lot. So we can't even try. We can't even start. Our mothers are responsible for understanding their own mother wound. We cannot save them. We can only help them understand it. We can only help them to be able to process it so that they too can take their own journeys towards healing it. Otherwise, daughters are continuously limiting themselves and staying in fear because of the sacrifices that our mothers had to pay for the kind of society they were in, for the kind of mothering they needed to be, and the kind of society that they had to be in. So the fear is there. The fear that if I heal my wound, then I'll be in one way rejecting my mother, and I might face rejection from my mother. Daughters then find themselves also, caught in the mix of whether to be loyal to their mother's wound or loyal to their mother's love. You need to ask yourself as you heal, am I loyal to my mother's wound or am I loyal to my mother's love? When you heal that part, you're going to give yourself freedom to allow your mother to go through her own journey of healing, and then give yourself the freedom to start your own journey of healing, accepting and understanding what happened, right? So I call upon you to be able to do that. When I get to talking some more about healing the mother wound, I want us to understand or to ask ourselves, what can we begin doing? How can we begin to process this pain now out? Because it's there, in so many ways. I hold healing the mother wound retreats. I run a program called Revive, where we really go to the beginning of the attachment. There are 5 social and emotional needs universal to all humans that are developed between 0 years to 7 years. I take you through all those so that you can be able to understand, where were you not attuned? How did your brain adapt to this? So what did you retain? How much pain did you retain? And which wounds do you have? Where do they sit? How can we be able to move them? How can we begin to de-armor you? So I want to continue this conversation so that we can slowly and subtly and nicely just understand how to heal the mother wound. So thank you very much for viewing. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for searching me out. I hope you can remember to subscribe, because without you subscribing, this doesn't get to go so far. I'll be very happy and appreciative if you subscribe, if you like, if you engage me in the comment section. I'm going to be there, so we can be able to break this down together. I'm going to return and get to go down with you and talk about how we can be able to just break down this mother wound. I also want to appreciate the men who are in this room, who are making sure that this happens. The cameraman, core media, thank you so much for picking me out. I know part of the creative process is when the world sees you, and core media being able to see me and seeing my potential and encouraging me and wanting to run this with me and wanting to produce this Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to do this with you.